This is Chris Jones. I'm the chair of SWAN this year, and welcome to our roughly quarterly SWAN webinar. We're real excited to have John and, excuse me, Maddie Mercer's team here to talk about with you all about food forests. And one thing I want you to be aware of, we've got our annual conference coming up in Tucson this April. And at the top of the chat, I had the link to look at that. I think it's going to be an excellent program. We've got a good focus on Native American regenerative agroforestry and just the basics of agroforestry for the arid lands. So hope you're able to come. And with that, I kind of know John. I might have met you several years ago. I know about Terra BIRDS, and so I'm looking forward to learn more about your program at Ponderosa High School. So John, it's yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris, and thanks everybody. It's a pleasure and an honor to join this community today, and I want to thank Jim Allen, my friend and Terra BIRDS board member here in Flagstaff, that invited me to join this. And so, yes, my name is John Taylor. I was born and raised in Flagstaff and raising a son here. So I'm very committed to this region. And I'm the founder of a nonprofit organization called Terra BIRDS. And we formed and exist to this day back in 2013, based around the primary objective of supporting school garden and stewardship programs and advancing the vision and mission of green schoolyards. And so Ponderosa High School is our home base, and I was invited to participate at Ponderosa back in 2010. At the time, the school was a blank canvas basically, and they'd just gotten this brand new greenhouse. And so that was my introduction. And really, Terra BIRDS and myself, we've just really kind of colonized this land. We've had a series of sort of purchase orders to deliver programs over the years, but really never a formal contract or MOU. It's just been really a symbiosis with the Ponderosa community over all these years. And so I'm definitely a big fan of what you all are doing in this idea of food forests. To me, it really taps into our human instincts as farmers, but also as hunter-gatherers and kind of manipulators of our habitat. I feel like that's one of the unique things that we humans do, is that we're able to manipulate our habitat. And idea of creating and sustaining food forests is certainly the very positive aspect of that. So Ponderosa High School has been kind of a pet special favorite project for all these years for both myself and the whole Terra BIRDS team. And this slide just kind of shows the beginning of it. And with the blank slate, we started by just gathering a few pots and putting them out in front of the greenhouse of some kind of random plants we'd scavenged from other projects, and got started. And the way we've worked at Ponderosa all these years is through a daily first period class in the spring and in the fall, as well as an after-school teen work program where students have been paid to have a temporary job. And we've done work at other community gardens and school sites and visiting farms, but I'd say 85 to 90% of the work through our teen work program has been to develop this Ponderosa High School campus over these last, at this point, 14 years. All of our Terra BIRDS programs very much focus on soil as the foundation of a healthy ecosystem. In many cases, these school projects start with removing weed cloth and hard pan soil or even asphalt. So it's every program over the years has always going back to focusing on soil through sheet mulching, composting, growing grasses to help put energy into and open up the soil. We're always working on soil, and we're always working on water, always trying to be aware of the water available to us on our site. And yes, collecting water in tanks. The picture in the middle there is a painting actually on a big water tank at Ponderosa, but also doing a lot of things like digging basins and swales to guide water, building terraces to level out the ground to hold water. The picture in the upper left there is a gathering circle, but that is also a large basin that captures the overflow from the greenhouse there you see. And then we've also, we worked with Watershed Management Group out of Tucson many years ago to do 3 curb cuts along Steves Boulevard in Flagstaff and gather a tremendous amount of water off the street. These are just some of the plants that have colonized the site at Ponderosa. Some of them we've planted, some of them are volunteers. Most of them we certainly encourage and love are native plants for all the obvious reasons. Personally, I also see the role and importance of non-native plants for kind of being early bloomers to provide nectar for bees and other things that, again, aren't necessarily totally native, but they're all part of the mixed up world that we live in today. So we really welcome, while we, of course, try to control our noxious invading weeds per se, we also welcome a lot of potentially somewhat weedy species for the ways that they provide habitat, repair the soil, and in many cases provide food. The wildlife has developed in amazing ways over these years at Ponderosa. This is a small representation of the critters that we see there. The population of birds has grown tremendously. We do have monarch butterflies that come through at Ponderosa, 2 different kinds of snakes. We've got skinks and fence lizards and these horned lizards, all the way up to macrofauna like javelinas have found us, which of course are a pest. But I also think it's really cool that when we welcome nature into a site, how quickly all types and sizes of wildlife find it and flourish there. So again, over the years, we've done the class at Ponderosa. We've welcomed many service groups. In the upper left-hand corner, that's the Blue Key Honor Society from NAU. Just as an example, we've had many different service groups come over the years to help out. But the daily routine is the Ponderosa community. And I also want to say the Coconino County Juvenile Probation community connected to the Coconino County Accommodation School District has played a huge role in the development of this site.
Hi, real quick, I apologize for the interruption, but is it possible to make your presentation full screen?
I was doing that, but then there was sort of a loading issue. I could try it. I just don't want to interrupt the flow. What do you think? Are you not able to see the pictures?
They're just really small.
Okay, well, tell you what I'll do. I'd hate for there to be an interruption. The link of this will be available, and how about people can go back and look at them? I would just hate to have a loading issue and mess this up. Thank you. So all along the way, again, with the benefit of that small greenhouse, we've been growing plants, vegetable starts, native plants, stem cuttings, and then the grasses. Been a big fan of growing just endless quantities of little grass plugs. To me, those grasses are the foundation of that ecosystem, and the way that they, of course, are gathering energy into the soil, opening up the soil, feeding the microorganisms. So we're constantly planting grasses. And then, of course, the stars of the food forest are the fruit trees. We have had quite a bit of success with like Nanking shrub cherries, several varieties of currants, sumac berries, sour cherries. And then when the weather aligns properly, we have had some bountiful years of peaches, plums, apples. And so our food forest of our fruit trees is again, kind of the highlight. Last year's peach harvest was a highlight of the whole year at Ponderosa High School. Just showing here some of the types of things that are abundant on the Ponderosa campus. The students there are weighing elderberries in the bowls. We have a bountiful elderberry crop. The other less obvious plant, that's amaranth, red dye amaranth. And believe it or not, these are tasty little morsels you can eat. These are the grubs that live below the bark of pine logs. And actually, they taste pretty good, kind of like macadamia nuts. And so students enjoy challenging each other to eat these now and then. And again, that green bowl below, that's amaranth, which is for many people a pesky weed, but that it does produce a bounty of seeds that are high in protein, and traditionally in North and Middle America have been an important staple food crop. So again, on the topic of opportunities, the value of a food forest is endless. Of course, speaking to the choir here, but just really celebrating how food forests are beautiful. This is more like what the campus looks like today. If we remember that stark beginning, it's quite beautiful now. The climate services benefit, I show this slide because of how much energy is used to move around water, potable water. And in many areas, like Arizona here, in the summertime, up to 50% of our potable water is used for outdoor irrigation. And so we don't have an irrigation system at Ponderosa. And so these curb cuts and all these methods we use have a connection to saving energy, which saves pollution. And again, the grasses and the abundance of vegetation here sequestering carbon. So those are just a few of the climate services. And as a school, the food forest expands into plant sale that we participate in, vocational program that we partner with the University of Arizona, Cooperative Extension, Coconino County branch. We have interns from NAU. We grow plants for restoration projects on Navajo lands, among other places as well. So all of these things are opportunities that extend from our food forest, as well as cultural lessons and a few pictures here of our partner educator, Deb Onse from the Ita Hopi Levi, our Hopi language program. Deb comes and does food programs with us. The group in the picture is our advisory committee that includes educators and leaders from all over Northern Arizona to broaden our cultural outreach for our work. The top middle picture, for 3 years, we invited a group of ambassadors from all over the African continent through an Obama era initiative called the Mandela Washington Fellows. So to this day, we're still in touch with many of these outstanding leaders from all over Africa. And of course, hope and joy. Some of these pictures are not at Ponderosa, but the Ponderosa site is our home base where we store materials, and some of our Ponderosa students go out and help us at elementary schools. We grow plants like the little oak that are also used at other schools. So our food forest benefit reaches beyond just Ponderosa. And more food and cooking. The tortoise is inside the greenhouse eating figs that grow on our tree there. And I like to say that every day is Earth Day at Ponderosa High School. And while abundance and diversity is waning, sadly, in many parts of the world, at least on the footprint of land that's Ponderosa High School, diversity and abundance is booming. And in the ways that we see a school garden as a microcosm of the world that young people are entering into, we hope this proves as inspiration and example that humans can be positive partners with the rest of the natural world. So I want to just leave a little time for a few questions and just again say thank you for the opportunity to join you here today. On the question of challenges for food forests, I feel like hard work and training and the willingness of people to come together to do this is really one of our biggest challenges, but therein is also, of course, the opportunity. And one of the other challenges is just access to land for people to do this at home or extend this into our life, into their lives, at least here in Flagstaff. And I think it's an issue everywhere, with land ownership and or renting prices very high, and more people in the world access to land to do this is difficult. But again, all the more reason why it's important that we do this on school grounds where everybody, hopefully at some point or another in life, can access these kind of opportunities. So again, thank you. And if there's time for a question or two, that would be great.
John, I've got a question here from Madeline Miller. She's asking, in the off-growing season, what activities continue with the students?
We also grow vegetables through these hydroponic grow stands from the Lettuce Grow Company indoors. And then some of the like stem cuttings and propagation activities all the way into early December. We were preparing for cold storage, some stems, some of the pictures of sorting beans with our partner, Deb Onse. She brought in a truckload of her bean crop from her Hopi fields, and the students helped de-shell them and things like that. So it is amazing how year round there's always things to do.
Cool. Okay, another question came in. What do you do with the produce during the summer and when the students aren't in session?
That's a great question. We have our summer work program. We cook a lot with the things that we grow. We send it home with students quite a bit. We'll harvest it and wash it and put it out on the counter and welcome students to take it home. And it goes home and people use it, and we ask students to kind of report back. What did they cook? What did they do with it? In some periods when we've had an abundance, we've donated it to the nearby food center. One year we tracked, and I think we were able to donate over 800 pounds, mostly potatoes and squash, to the Flagstaff Family Food Center. So kind of all of the above.
I appreciate you sharing some of your species. That's always the most interest of me. Knowing that some native grasses help so much is a great thing to know. You were mentioning the Nanking cherry and the wolfberry being some easy ones for you to get fruit out of. So you said a few stars. So what were those again?
Well, we get a lot of the golden currant, an alpine currant, the three-leaf sumac, the little savipsi, the little lemonade berries are fun to grow and get. And then we've had luck with the Stella sour cherry. And then the peach variety we grow is, I believe it's the Reliant or Reliance, and that has been very successful. Our apples, we have a Honey Crisp and then we, for several years, we grafted successful apples from around town that I don't know exactly what they are, but they're the ones that have produced most reliably here in Flagstaff. So we have some graphs of those.
Thank you. We do have one more question, but if you don't mind, I'd like to hand it over to Steve to introduce our next speakers to keep us on time. And perhaps, John, if you'd look at the chat, you can respond to John in the chat. You had a question about your curb cuts.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, John, Chris. Hopefully you guys can hear me. So our next presenters, thank you, are with Food Forest Cooperative. So we have Allie Lopiccolo and Amy Lee Simpson. So Allie graduated in 2022 from ASU with a master's degree in sustainability. And she's dedicated her life to personal experiences and academic pursuits, supporting local food systems. And Amy is raised on a farmstead in northern Illinois, and she's lived by her motto, everybody eats. And she's also involved in the urban agriculture and local foodway spaces in Phoenix. So we will get them to share here.
I can share my screen if that works.
Oh, yep.
Perfect. Okay.
There you go.
All right, let's see. That's not it. Can you all see Canva?
Yep.
Okay, let's see if it'll present full screen. Can you see this?
Beautiful.
Yay.
Awesome. Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. We're excited to be here and share a little bit about the Food Forest Co-op. Today, my name is Allie Lopiccolo, as Stephen just shared, and I'm here with Amy Simpson. So we are 2 of 4 of the co-owners of the Food Forest Co-op. So you have half of us today. And yeah, thanks, John, for your presentation too. It was neat to hear just the common threads and overlaps and what you're doing and what we're doing. So excited to share and add more to the food forest narrative here in the Valley. But our presentation today is titled Cultivating Abundance, because it's just the heartbeat behind a lot of what we do. Next. Ooh, I went to the end. So here is a photo of our team on the right here. As I said, there's 4 of us. So myself, Amy, and then Maria Parra Cano and Brian Cano. Maria is an indigenous food chef, owner of Sana Sana Foods. Brian's a welder and lover of animals. And so the 4 of us together are who make up the Food Forest Co-op. And this team has evolved over the years, but the vision for the Food Forest started in 2017. We started planting in 2021, the spring of 2021. We officially incorporated as a worker-owned cooperative in the fall of 2022. And we were the first worker-owner cooperative to incorporate in the state of Arizona, which was an exciting and interesting journey. And we farm on 1 acre of land at Spaces of Opportunity located in South Phoenix. And it's also important, I want to highlight as well and emphasize the truth that there's 4 people in this picture, but there has been an army of individuals who have supported and dedicated so much time and effort and energy into getting the food forest and everything that we are able to steward and have now to where it is. And so to start to, I'm going to pass it to Amy in a moment. But typically when we say Food Forest Cooperative, people's first question is, what is a food forest? And people's second question is, what is a worker-owned cooperative? And so I know that there's varying, I guess, like knowledge bases around food forests on this call in particular, but just to give like very, very brief overviews of both of those things, because it helps us set the foundation to just better explain what we're doing in South Phoenix as well. So Amy, I'll pass it to you.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, in this call, I think our education curve is smaller because you all have an introduction into what a food forest is. So for those of you not familiar with the project called Spaces of Opportunity, it's in South Phoenix. It's a teaching farm located on 20 acres of Roosevelt School District land. So we have one of the spaces on that 20-acre spot. So it's a really great way for people to see models of all kinds of urban agriculture. We've got some farmer doing market production. And in our acre, we are focusing on perennial plants, medicinal and culinary herbs, fruit trees. So it allows us to look at our space and think vertically. So we look at the sun and then we create guilds of plants or families of plants to utilize, the water and the sun most efficiently to cover the ground, to reduce the overgrowth of weedy plants that come through, and to use the taller canopy trees as some protection for the more tender herbs and plants. So we're utilizing every bit of space and available to us while building up that soil structure. We're adding lots of woody mulch layers to the soil to encourage visitation from our fungal friends to help break down and create that juicy rhizosphere that all the plants can love. And that allows us to grow all of these herbs and plants in a way that doesn't use any kind of sides. We don't even use a natural pesticide. So that juicy rhizosphere keeps all of our plants healthy, so we don't have to rely on barcodes to keep things in harmony. Go to the next one. We touched on this, the why. Again, we're acknowledging and setting a model of our human participation in the ecosystem. So we're using our skills of tending and my years of observation, being a plant lover and someone who was raised by and in a wooded area. So we're working with that biodiversity and using our skills to participate in relationships with these plants. So as we do our workshops week to week to invite the community in to see what we're doing, they're learning with us as we're responding to what the plants need to make their habitat the most suitable for them to grow abundantly, to give us food so that we can continue to regenerate the soil, and we get to actively participate in that life cycle and model that for the community.
Cool. And then, yeah, moving into kind of talking a little bit about worker-owned co-ops and what that is and what that means. It's one of the co-op structures that is owned by workers who make the business decisions, share in the profit and the risk of the business. So right now, the four of us, we are all worker owners. And so if we are members of the co-op, we are workers in the co-op. And if you all aren't familiar with this specific type of co-op model, you've run into the other ones. Consumer co-op like REI, producer co-op, example is Sun Produce in the Valley. And so we're unique in the way that, yes, we are stewarding a food forest, but we are also doing it in the context of a for-profit model that is aimed at a more holistic view of business and using business as a force for good and thinking systematically about what our impact is, both locally and in community, in our own team, and the ripple effects of what that is beyond So regardless of what type of co-op you are, all co-ops abide by the 7 principles on the right here, and you all are welcome to read them. And I won't go through them, but there's so many resources out there that are super helpful in unpacking what those are and what they mean, and how to apply them to your own business, or even ones that aren't co-ops. Just like upholding these models and these principles are valuable in a lot of ways. And so now moving into some of our favorite parts of things, which are the pictures and the plants and the fruits and all the things that have been growing at the food forest. We've been, as I mentioned earlier, we started planting in the spring of 2021. So we've been officially breaking ground, stewarding the land for about 2 years. And food forests typically take about 3 to 5 to mature. And so this slide we really love to share because it emphasizes, and it's a principle that we feel passionate about emphasizing, but just the variety and the diversity in the process that is wrapped up in what a food forest is. There's so much nuance to what it looks like to have all of these things in the same place supporting each other, and then also the excitement behind just seeing like this is only in 2 years, and there's just the joys of what it looks like to harvest, even in some small quantities, all of these different things. So we've had pomegranates, apples, we have a couple different varieties, mulberries, different squashes and pumpkins, all of our sunflower seeds, which are so beautiful. Peaches, we have also other stone fruits, plums and apricots. The right bottom corner is our sugar cane, which has been fun to play around with. And Amy made some awesome sugar cane juice earlier, or end of last year. And then the blue corn as well, which was donated to us by an organization called Pinole Blue, and they grow in Mexico and harvest and distribute through their facilities in Kansas. But having the opportunity to grow that at our on the plot that we steward was like also really, really fun to just see and collaborate, and the colors are beautiful. And so it's just this ever evolving, unfolding kind of like tapestry of growth and beauty and learning from the land and all these things. And apart from that too, like, yes, we're growing food. Yes, we want to offer nutrient dense, culturally relevant foods to the community. Yes, we want to welcome people in to learn and offer workshops and just ways to engage and reconnect with the land. But there's also like, this land has its own history. And this, I mean, Spaces as a whole was a former cotton field, and then it was eventually donated to Roosevelt School District. But after that, a lot of it, but especially this part that we're growing on too, is just literally a dumping land. Like, materials were just dumped here. And so this isn't just a story about growing food, but about bringing life back to what was once this just dusty little corner of land. And so we just love all of the layers that are involved, what it looks like to model Earth's abundance, and also recognize like, yeah, we plant, we water, but like the Earth's doing the work, and it's like so beautiful to see all of that come to fruition. So these are just some of our pictures, and then we can touch a little bit on kind of where we're at and where we're going.
Okay, so next steps. Thank you for that walk through our evolution. It's fun. It's fun to remember. I was at Spaces working the day. ASU professor and his graduate student came to say, like, we're looking for a place to build a food forest. And I was like, great, you've come to the right place. We're doing it. And to be like involved in the dream, and now to see it in fruition has really been a magical experience. So next, now that we've got kind of the earth moved, that was a pretty big endeavor. We'll continue to build out our educational offerings, invite more groups to join us for specific projects Now that our canopy layer is set and our foundation is kind of steady, we can
trying to
start
figure
to
out
look at.
how to grow trees that make food. She's
I'm
talking.
sorry?
She's talking.
Yeah, please
So we'll
mute
be able
yourself
to,
if you can. Hey, go ahead, Amy.
sorry, we'll be able to start introducing more, more
217.
projects.
I don't understand. I really don't.
Oh, can you hear us? You're not muted?
I mean, I don't know.
Stand by. I'm trying to find who it is.
Okay.
This is a Brant Vogel. There you go. Where you got it.
Sorry about that.
Bev.
That's right.
Okay, I think we're good to go.
And
Again.
our goal is to become self-sufficient on a business level. Our startup has relied a lot on gifts, grants, and volunteer work, and we're so blessed to put that money into practice. So the model we're building is how to take a grant-funded startup into long-term self-sufficiency, and that will be in the development of products and finding how we can use the food forest. It's a very densely planted 1 acre plot. So we get a little bit of a lot of things, which is a beautiful experience. And it is a little more nuanced to create value added products from a small amount of a lot of things. So we're excited to be able to offer dried culinary herb blends, tea blends, steaming blends, different land-based teas. And then also expanding out our plant fields, taking a look at our plant clusters and how we can better utilize the vertical space available to expand out our plant offerings. And we're also in a process of consulting with one of our community partners to build a 2 to 3 acre food forest also in South Phoenix. Using the experience on this first one and building out that second one soon. And then Allie and I are both available for questions. I lost my chat window. There it is. So either the chat or you want to pop in with a question over here.
So we do have one update from Maddie Mercer with Tempe. So maybe we'll let her kind of hop on and tell us about her project. Maddie, if you want to. We did have one question in the chat for Allie, if it's possible for you guys to share the PowerPoint with us or your Canva presentation.
Yeah, I can email it to you all.
I'm seeing a question in the chat. The food forest system can extend the growing season a little bit. It doesn't offer, because of where the property sits, we're at the base of South Mountain, so it gets really cold there. So we don't see much cold season protection from the canopy plants, but we do see heat protection. So it extends the life of the tender herb, like the basils, who will, in July just give up. Like, it's hot up there for a basil. But if we plant the basil, we plant a fence of sugarcane along our waterways, and then on the east side of the sugarcane, we plant our tender herbs, the basils, and we do get a season extension in that. It'll protect it from that western sun, and it'll be able to last all summer long. And
So
John, I
Steve-
see your note about the urban ag. We'll definitely, if we're not already on that, we'll take that note. Thank you.
So Steve, this is a good time for Maddie to do her part.
Yeah, we have Maddie with us.
I saw her
Yes.
on here, just on, there she's
Oh,
on.
there we go.
Yeah, I'm on here. I've actually got a couple of me on here because I shared my link with my colleague. So there's like 6 of us
Okay.
here, but I'll be talking today. And I
That's
know
fine.
we just have a few minutes, so I'll go through this pretty quickly, but just want to touch on a few things. First, thanks so much to the SWAN team for pulling this together and having our group be part of this work. So my name is Maddie Mercer. I work in the City of Tempe's Sustainability and Resilience Office. And part of my work is focused on advancing our Grow Local Tempe initiative, which is our urban ag and innovative production grant from the USA that John just mentioned, to build out our urban ag work in the City of Tempe by learning more about what's already happening and sharing best practices of what's going on in other places. So the purpose of our part of this webinar was just raising awareness of the food forest model. And so I'll go a little bit into our project, and I can also share my slides after this if you're interested in learning more. But let me see. And also just to confirm, you can see the PowerPoint, right? Before I dive in. Okay, cool. So high level overview of the Grow Local Tempe project. We're really working to better understand what's happening in terms of local food and urban agriculture in the city right now, and what do people need to be happening in terms of expanded food access. So a big portion of the first year of this work was focused on better understanding what the community's food and access needs are, and also learning what kind of models they're interested in to be solutions to those needs. So not just thinking about production, but expanding our lens a little bit to think about solutions that have to do with processing and distribution, taking more of a food systems approach with this work. And so as we've identified some of these areas of interest, we've been developing some plans to build out new projects that would expand food access and promote resilience within our food system in the city. And so I'm going to go through these quickly. The reason we're doing this work is because there is a high food access need in the city of Tempe. And in addition to this need, there's also some mandates and priorities that we've set through our climate action plan. And so in this work, we spoke with different groups of stakeholders and built out different agendas. And when we talked to Tempe's youth about what their climate priorities are, we heard a resounding interest in food and expansion of food access and building out food work. And so that's also been driving this local food journey in the city. Some of our partners are listed here. At the top picture, we actually have Maria, one of the other 3 of 4 co-owners of the Food Forest Co-op. And SWAN is also one of our partners to do this education work and then also help raise awareness of the model in our Food Forest Atlas that we're developing that I'll just jump to here in a second. This is kind of, I'll go through this really quick, but a high level of what our project has involved. That first phase, like I said, has really been focused on better understanding what our community wants to see and what their vision is for the food system here. And now that we have a better understanding and we've done, it's been an iterative process of community engagement and co-creating these plans. So now we've identified 2 sites of the 5 pilot projects that we're doing that are actually interested in building out food forests. So one is a community center and one is a high school. And so getting to hear from a kind of community-oriented and a school-focused food forest today was really helpful in our process for development. We're going to get to share this with the teams working on both of those project plans. And we actually do have some funding from the urban forestry IRA grants to build out those food forests. So those are coming soon, and I'm excited to add them eventually to the Atlas. So as part of the Grow Local Tempe initiative, one of our deliverables is to build out the statewide atlas that will be housed on the City of Tempe website that just really highlights and celebrates all the work that food forests across the state of Arizona are doing, whether it's to provide education, grow food, regenerate the earth. provide community spaces for gathering, whatever their mission is. We're hoping to highlight them and include them on this atlas so that when people are developing new food forests, they have places to turn to for inspiration and potentially even support. And so we've built out this survey. I have the link on this slide and also a QR code. So if you are a food forest in Arizona or know of one, I'd love if you could take or share this survey. And if you're interested in being included on the map, we'd love to learn from you and help to strengthen the network here. And that's as fast as I could go to stay on time.
Thank you, Maddie.
I wanted to hear your reason.
So Tori, so we can take any questions for our speakers. Before we close out here, we have just a couple minutes left. So Tori asks, what are the best resources for learning how to create a food forest? There is, it's called the Leaf Network from Arizona. They have a really awesome publication that goes through the different layers and some options for different areas of Arizona. I'll see if I can quick Google that link and add that in there if I can find it. But that would be an awesome, good starting point.
Steve, knowing that unless we got some more questions, I'm going to apologize. I am the chair of SWAN this year, and we set up this meeting, and my county advisory board is actually in the office to have a meeting at 10. And Steve knows about county advisory boards, so I can't skip out on this. But I do want you all to be aware of the upcoming conference in Tucson. I'm going to put the link in the chat one more time. I'm going to go to the event page and bring up the event page and just try to give you a little highlight of what we're doing. Let me get to share. All right, like you say, we got all these things open. Here we go. Can you see that all right? Maybe I can close my bookmarks.
Yep.
Something I want to key in on here. We've got some great partners putting this on. We've got Arizona Community Tree Council. They are handling the registration. Myself, the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension. We've got a grant through the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. So Western Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Program, Northern Arizona, with Jim Allen, the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, USDA Forest Service National Agroforestry Center are all supporting what we're doing. And some of the highlights of the speakers that we've got coming up include Brad Lancaster. If you know who he is, he wrote Rainwater Harvesting for Drylands and Beyond, and just the best person known for all of the water harvesting, the curb cuts and work like that. So he's pretty much our afternoon keynote speaker. And if you go on and you should come on the tour, we'll be going out to Dunbar Springs, his neighborhood, and look at the type of work they've been doing out there for water harvesting and planting edible trees. The other big feature I've got Lisa Shippick from the Watershed Management Group and Kelly Bull, who is a member of SWAN, of our executive board, who runs this permaculture design business out of Colorado Springs. And both of them are going to be talking about how to build a food forest. And when we go out to Watershed Management Group, we will see the one that they have as their demonstration and actually have a chance to stay there and actually work on your own design. So if this is something you haven't done, you actually have kind of a mini workshop to create it. We will be learning about Native American agroforestry, permaculture, and regenerative agriculture practices. We've got Jacobo Marcus from Hopi Tuska Institute. I've got speakers from San Carlos, as well, San Carlos Indian Reservation, to talk about their regenerative agriculture project, and a tree water people project we've done with Swan at New Mexico and Colorado. So I think that's exciting to share as well. As far as registration goes, we've got the link there. Scholarships are available. If you are a practitioner, a tribal member, or need support to make your participation possible, contact me. If you're able to pay the tuition, pay the registration, that's great. It supports it, but we can also support people who we want to really have there. We do have a limited block of rooms at the Tucson Marriott University Park, which is just around the street from there, and hope that you're able to come and share this out with your people and contacts, and just get a good turnout for this, what I think is going to be an exciting event. So please check that out. Take a look at the agenda. So much more we're doing, and I'll stop there and see if you have any questions.
Chris, thanks for the promotion of that event. It is going to be really exciting in addition to all the conference topics. As you know, those of you who attend a lot of conference, some of the best participant opportunities happen in the hallways and in the room with the participants there. So you really want to be there to be a part of not only the learning, but the camaraderie and collaboration that happens when people meet together. So we're really hoping to see as many of you there as possible. Do we have anything else as we're approaching the top of the hour? Any additional questions, ideas? If you have a resource that you want to share, put it in the chat. I'll be pulling down all those resources. This recording will be posted, and we will also post the presentation slide decks when those are sent to us. So you'll be able to revisit this information and have all these resources with you. Okay.
Thank you, Bev.
All right. Any last words of wisdom before I pause the in the recording for posting?
Yeah, just quickly, this is Andy Mason, Bev. Just if anyone would like to receive continuing education credits for this through the Society of American Foresters or Agronomy Society, please let us know in the, I guess in the chat. Bev, is that best?
Yes. Yeah, if you put your certification number in the chat, we'll download that and compile that with our registration list and get those CEUs submitted.
Perfect, thank you.
Great. And I just want to say thank you to Steve and our speakers. Ali and Amy and John and Maddie, you stayed right on time, and it just went well. We got so much information in, and I know Steve set this up, so great work, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Are we doing a post-event executive committee meeting?
Yes, we will on that Friday.
Okay, all right. All right, well, with that, we will close out the recording. And let me do that right now.